Hi, I'm Srinivas Vakati. This is High Impact Entrepreneur Podcast. In this podcast, I discuss with entrepreneurs and professionals to help you build your dream company, put the right systems and processes in place so it can grow without you. In this episode, I am interviewing Mr. Ambrish Chheda, where we discuss creating a strategic execution plan for your company. Mr. Ambrish Chheda is a management guru, motivational speaker, and founder of Masterclass Training and Consulting LLP. He was a vice president of Aditya Birla Retail Limited and chief of new business divisions for Future Group. He has spent the past 30 years working with thousands of businesses in retail, FMCG, telecom, manufacturing, and consulting industries. Let's get started. So I read your complete profile and I found it very interesting. So can you give us, for our listeners, a brief introduction about your professional journey, sir?
I was in the corporate world. I had announced to my family that by the time I am 50, until then I want to live for the family and for myself. But after 50, want to devote my life for the country.
Okay.
So when family had heard that at that time, so they all said that, yeah, it's a good thought, achhi bhavna hai. But they didn't think that, it's easy for anyone to quit everything, to give up a very lucrative career on the top of your career, to compromise on the huge corporate salaries, the power. Chutki bajate across the country kaam hota tha hamara. There were more than 50 interviews. You name the newspaper and there was an interview, Economic Times, Times of India. But actually when I turned 50, I made this decision to set up Masterclass Training and Consulting LLP. The mission of Masterclass is nation building by helping tens of thousands of companies to scale up to the next level.
Okay.
And we do this through helping them with strategic execution planning first, where a blueprint is made either for their turnaround if they are not financially doing well or if they are making losses, or if they are stagnant, or if they are growing but not growing to their fullest potential. Then we help them create a scaling up plan. So either it's a turnaround plan, which is financial turnaround plan, or it's a business scaling up plan. In the scaling up plan, the focus is to scale up the company, to grow the company rapidly. Rather than incremental growth, we focus on transformational growth. The incremental growth is probably 5, 10, 15% growth year after year. Just as the GDP is growing, the companies are also growing. I would call that incremental growth. But transformational growth is where the company is outgrowing the GDP growth rate by multiple times.
Got it.
So this is in a sense what we do at Masterclass, helping companies scale up rapidly or helping companies turn around.
Okay. So as a professional, you started your career in retail, right? You were one of the top go-to guys in retail. So what was your job profile in retail like?
So in the early 2000, I was with the Future Group. It was then called Pantaloon Retail India Limited, and my job profile was as a head of the new business divisions, to set up new business concepts, new retail chain concepts, and to scale them up. So right from scratch, right from strategy to building the team, to building the concept, then testing it out in a couple of cities, and then national rollout. This was the role, and I was directly reporting to Mr. Kishore Biani.
Wow.
During that tenure, we set up concepts like Food Bazaar. Food, by the way, is now contributing nearly to about 40 to 45% of the entire Future Group turnover today. So those divisions were set up during that time.
Wow. So you had a very high paying job, right? So was it a overnight decision to just quit the job and start?
It was not an overnight decision. By the way, after Future Group, I went on to Aditya Birla Retail Limited. So when they were starting, joined as a vice president and then left as a vice president. It was not an overnight decision. The decision was made much earlier. Okay. As I said, I had already announced it to my family that when I turn 50,
okay,
I will be quitting no matter where I have reached in life.
I'm just curious, like, what's so magical about number 50?
What is magical about number 50? Nothing really. ऐसा हमारे शास्त्रों में वैसे कहा गया है कि आपको आपके लिए जो कुछ करना है वो 50 साल तक कर लेना चाहिए. 50 के बाद you need to give it back to the society.
Okay.
And if you want to go and pursue some other path like spiritual path, etc., then you have to go to, they called it vana. That means jungle में जाके वहाँ पे तपस्या करो.
तपस्या, yes, meditation.
But आज के ज़माने में I think जंगल में जाके तपस्या करने का कोई specific purpose शायद ना भी रहे. बट ये एक तरह की हमारी तपस्या है कि 50 के बाद अपने लिए ना सोचते हुए to think about the country, because I think nation building is not one man's job. And it's certainly not one party's job. So it's not just Mr. Narendra Modi who has to build this country, you know. He's doing a great job, but it's not just one man.
Right.
So each of us in our own capacity have to contribute to nation building.
Super. So before I talk about execution plan, I want to know what's your definition of strategy.
What is my definition of strategy? So I would say that strategy is a series of choices that you make after evaluating various options towards a common goal or a purpose, and which I would say should be a higher level purpose. Okay, and the act of making those choices, which are of long-term nature, medium-term nature, and short-term nature,
okay,
but which are going to impact the end result. Okay, so the act of making those choices is what is strategy, according to me.
Oh, it's a very interesting way of keep looking at it. Strategy and choices. Wow. And so business owners go with strategic execution plan, and it's 4-page document, I believe. So what are some of the elements of this plan?
Good question. See, any business that wants to financially turn around, if they were making losses earlier, or any business which wants to scale up, if it is stuck up, if it's not growing, or maybe it's growing in a very incremental fashion year after year, and wants to scale up rapidly, there are some, before I go to the elements of the plan or elements of the process, before that, let's establish some fundamental thoughts or assumptions. The first fundamental assumption is that at current level of thought, they can't take their company to the next level. Because at current level of thought, whatever they will do year after year is going to produce more or less the same results year after year, plus or minus 5 or 10 or 15%. Because it's coming from, all the actions are coming from their current level of thought. So this means that if the objective is rapid scaling up or rapid transformation, if you want to take your company to the next level, it has to be done at a different level of thought. That's the first fundamental contribution that the masterclass methodology or the masterclass system or the masterclass process does. So, with the mindset of the entrepreneurs, their business partners, directors, CEOs, employees, department heads, functional heads, and the execution teams. In our 4-day workshop process, we nearly spend about 3/4 of the first day on resetting the mindset. It's like rebooting the brain.
Okay.
Cleaning up lots of cobwebs, which are nothing but results of all the past experiences of their own as well as the others in the industry. There is something called conventional wisdom which is sitting on your shoulders. And the times change, the consumers change, the habits change, but people still sit with what worked in past. So that's conventional wisdom. So before truly beginning the process for helping them develop a strategic blueprint, we first do the mind reset, clearing up the cobwebs, helping them get rid of the limitations in mind.
Okay.
Because generally speaking, your business is actually a reflection of who you are. Think about it. Apple is a reflection of who Steve Jobs was. Microsoft is a reflection of Bill Gates. Tata Group of companies are a reflection of the founders of the Tata Group.
Right.
And the Reliance Group today is a reflection of the founder, Dhirubhai Ambani. Your company and where your business is right now is usually a mirror.
Yeah, for business, mirror of the founder.
And is governed by just as much as the economy and the state of economy and the market and demand and supply and market gaps, need gaps, intensity of the competition, etc. Just as it is governed by the outside factors, but I would say that it is more governed by the inside factors, our own minds. The limitations are in our minds more than in the outside world. Outside world तो जितना चाहे आपको रोक ले, लेकिन इंसान को सबसे ज्यादा कौन रोकता है? श्रीनिवास, you tell me.
खुद रोकता है.
That's right. इंसान खुद अपने आप को रोकता है.
True.
You know? कैसे रोकता है? Self-imposed
Beliefs
and limitations. So here is my quotable quote. We can see it on this wall. Human beings are only limited by their own thoughts. In real life and in real world, there are no limitations. Okay. So before we begin the strategic process with our clients, the mindset process, helping them get rid of the limitations and the old experiences and the cobwebs is the first thing. Because until that is taken care of, what is the sense in asking them to start preparing their blueprint?
I agree with
Okay, mind is full of limitations and they are starting thinking how they are going to go to the next level. So the limitations will keep holding them back. Okay,
True.
So that's the first thing.
So after the mindset, the process starts, right?
Yeah. So once the mindset thing is done, the process starts. The strategic blueprint making process start. Now let me ask a question to the audience. If you had a plot of land and you wanted to build a building, which is a residential building, let's say 20-story residential building, do you think you need a blueprint? Do you think the contractor will need a blueprint prepared by an architect? Or whether the building can be built without a blueprint? No question about that. You can't build a building without a blueprint. How about your company? If it truly wants to go to the next level, transformational next level, you want to do it without a plan? You want to do it without a written plan? You want to do it without a blueprint in your hand?
Obviously not.
Certainly not. You need a blueprint. The thing is, my observation is that in the SME world, small and medium sized businesses, so I'm talking about from the startups to our clients are in the turnover range from startups to about 1500 crores. At times I'm surprised that the majority of these companies do not have a clearly written down complete blueprint.
Yeah, I agree with you.
They don't have a plan.
I completely agree with you.
So when I ask them, if you want to build a Taj Mahal, do you need a plan? How it's going to look like? Or if there is a sculptor who had to make the sculpture of a god, figure of God. Let's say गणेश जी की मूर्ति बनानी है, बहुत बड़ी, एंड उसके पर्टिकुलर एक्सप्रेशंस क्या होंगे, वो मूर्ति के साथ आसपास में क्या चीजें होंगी, बैकग्राउंड क्या होगा, उनके फेशियल एक्सप्रेशंस क्या होंगे, उनकी आंखों में क्या चमक होगी. Doesn't he have to visualize all that?
Of course you need to.
Or can he just start taking a big stone, the material that he's going to use, and then start,
Sculpting.
working, and then think, let me start this and then I'll see what is made out of it. Can you do that? No. Before you begin anything, you have to begin with the end in mind. How it's going to look like. You have to be able to visualize that. You have to be able to picturize that. You have to have a very clear idea of what it will look like. What are you building before you start building it? Okay. So all that is covered in the strategic planning process. Okay. Even again, before we start the first component, we ask the audience a question. What is business? We ask them to define what is business. Because everything that we are going to do is going to come from the definition of business. So masterclass, during my entire career, right from the management school studies to now, I've had the opportunity to read thousands of books on business management and related subjects. So again, I looked up the definition of the word business.
Business, yeah.
But whatever I read, in a very humble way I'm saying this, that I found it inadequate to show the path for the future to visionary entrepreneurs. So we decided to create our own definition. So the masterclass definition of business is what we start with. That's where the transformation process begins to happen. The minds are already cleaned, the limitations are gone, and now the transformational process starts, and it starts with the definition of business. So here is the definition of business as given by masterclass. Business is a process to create substantial value consistently for your customers, for your industry, for your society, for your country, for the world, whichever of these 5 levels you can think of. That's the one side of the coin. Business is a process. If you have not converted it into a process, then what you have created is not business, but busyness. Everyone is busy in your company. Everyone is running left, right, and center. And anytime you see all people are always busy. And at the end of the year, the financial results don't show that the company has actually performed at its true intrinsic potential. This kind of thing happens, one, when there is no strategic plan, and two, when there is a strategic plan, or there may be a strategic plan, but there are no processes. Okay, so you have ended up creating business rather than business. So business is a process for creating what? For creating not ordinary value, but substantial value. For whom? For your customers at first level. For your industry at the second level. For your society around you as the third level. For the country as the fourth level. And for the world as the fifth level. Aren't there companies today operating at these levels?
Of course there are.
There are companies like Microsoft, Google, which are creating substantial value at the world level. There are some companies like Reliance Industries, Infosys, TCS, Wipro, many others, many Tata Group companies, creating value at the country level. The whole country is benefiting because of the existence of these companies. There are companies which are benefiting society around them. There are companies because of which the industry has gone up. Okay, so these are the 5 different levels. Okay, this is the first half of the definition of masterclass. This is the first half of the definition of business. The second half is the second side of the same coin. That while creating substantial value, how should it be created? By utilizing as minimum resources as possible, so that a portion of difference between substantial value created and delivered and resources utilized comes back to you as profits. This, I would say, is a holistic definition of business. At the end of the day, there have to be profits. Otherwise, it will not be a sustainable activity. Okay? But the profits should not be earned by utilizing too much of resources. And the resources, when I say resources, I don't mean manpower alone, materials alone. There are various types of resources. The good entrepreneur is very frugal with the use of resources. कम resources में ज़्यादा value create करना है. Like WhatsApp, for example. How much value did they create?
Billions of dollars.
It was sold for around 18 or 19 billion US dollars. And I understand that at the time it was sold, the team size was only 55 people. Can we imagine that?
Yeah.
That's substantial value creation by utilizing minimum resources.
Right.
So once the definition of masterclass, definition given by masterclass for what is business, once that sets in, the mental transformation starts happening, and they start realizing many either wrong things or not sufficient things that they are doing. Maybe they haven't grown because they were creating ordinary value. Now, as a business, if you are creating ordinary value, any customer can easily replace you. He can buy from your competitor. He can buy from anywhere.
True.
But if you are providing substantial value compared to the rest of the industry, the customer is more likely to remain with you for a long time. Okay, so these are the things that they are able to see, that maybe I haven't grown, or business hasn't grown because it's creating ordinary value and not substantial value. So with this, the blueprint making process start, the blueprint for the next level. So there is an amalgamation of what is called corporate strategy,
Okay.
marketing strategy, operations strategy, and HR strategy. It's all put together in the framework that we have developed at Masterclass. It's an all-encompassing framework. which starts with corporate strategy. So it starts with the mission statement, the very purpose statement. Why does your company exist? What difference will it make whether or not it existed? And if the answer is it doesn't make any difference, then there's no reason for that company to exist for a long time.
True.
Or there's no reason for that company to grow substantially and sustainably for a long time. Okay? So we help the companies to develop a mission statement which will stay with them for next 50 years, next 100 years. As long as the company stays, the mission is never accomplished. Because if it is accomplished, then thereafter, there is no reason for the company to stay.
To exist, yeah.
Gandhiji's mission was India को आज़ादी दिलाना. आज़ादी दिला दी, उसके बाद में नाथुराम गोडसे came and shot him dead. He was gone. Job was accomplished. There was no more need for Gandhiji to be there.
It's a very interesting statement to make here.
So, now many companies have their mission statements. And even many small and medium-sized businesses have their mission statements. I've had opportunity to analyze, we have 1500 clients. So with these 1500 clients as well as outside of these 1500 clients, I've had opportunity to analyze thousands of mission statements over a period of about 9 years that we have been into this, 10 years now.
Okay.
A mission statement which does not give a futuristic direction, future path, is of no value. And many mission statements are totally incomplete by masterclass standards. Even some of the top known brands and companies have mission statements which are incomplete by masterclass standards. Because the job of the mission statement is that when there are tough decisions to be made, when there is confusion in the market, when the world gets when we enter phase like VUCA world, volatile, when things are uncertain, who has to show direction? What has to show the direction? The mission statement. It has to become the guiding force. Just like life may, whenever you come at a stage where you know that you are confused and you don't know how your life should take shape, and you don't know what are the right things to do, and you don't know which way to go. So if you are a Hindu, you will open up Bhagavad Gita. It will give you all the answers. If you are a Muslim, you will go back to Quran, and it will give you all the answers. That's how a mission statement should be.
Okay.
That for every decision, which is a strategic decision, mission statement is the source. वो सोत्र है, गंगोत्री है, वहां से हर एक्शन, हर डिसीजन वहां से निकलता है. Every resource, every action, every decision of the company must be to take the company 1 inch forward towards your mission statement. Okay. And if it doesn't do that, then that action, however smart it might look right now, is not a great strategic choice. So Masterclass helps the entrepreneurs craft a mission statement which consists of 3 different parts. But in this interview, we cannot get into that because this is not a training program or a complete masterclass system. But there are 3 different parts. There are 3 different components to a mission statement, and all 3 must be there. Only then it can become a great mission statement.
Okay.
So oftentimes these mission statements are written by advertising agencies or some copywriter, etc. Which should look good on the website. It should sound smart. And then if you ask the owners or the founders or even the CEO or the top management team, ask them to write down their mission statement.
Very few people will do.
Very, very few people will be able to write down the mission statement in totality with the true spirit of the statement intact.
Okay.
A good mission statement, and then the job of the founders, owners, the CEO is to drill the mission into the minds of the team members so that everything they do is governed by and guided by the mission statement. Thereafter, we help them define the values. Every company must be governed by a set of values. If the values are missing, no matter how big a company you may have become, but if the company and its top management starts compromising on the values and the governance systems, left, right, and center, then in no time that company could disappear. So we have had examples of companies disappearing, like great companies, Satyam Computers, Enron, Arthur Anderson. There have been enough examples. Great companies, revered companies, blue chip companies of that time, and some compromises were made in the value system by someone, and that led to
Collapse.
demise of the company. So we say strategy creates. Strategy क्या करता है? सर्जन करता है. Values protect. Values उस सर्जन को प्रोटेक्ट करते हैं, सलामत रखते हैं. एक मां अपने बच्चे को सिखाती है, बेटा चोरी मत करना. वो क्यों सिखाती है? ताकि उसका बेटा सेफ रहे. जब बड़ा बने, चोरी करेगा, कल को जेल में जाएगा, उसकी लाइफ कैरियर खत्म हो जाएगी, तो वो संस्कार डालती है. तो कंपनीज के लिए वैल्यू सिस्टम इज नथिंग बट दैट संस्कार. इट्स एब्सोल्युटली अ मस्ट. So we help them define their values. We don't define it for them. They define it, but using our system and the framework.
Okay.
And we mentor them and guide them in that process.
So for the values to be formulated, does all the top management have to be there, or only the CEO or founder has to be there?
100% the top management has to be there.
Okay.
Because in reality, when the values are being defined, an individual's tendency is always to enforce the value system he or she is governed by. So can a company be governed by just value system of one person who is the CEO? Maybe he's there today, tomorrow he's not there. No. I think the founders of the company, along with the CEO or along with the manager, along with the management team, should get together and have a good debate on which are the values that we want to adopt.
Okay.
And the fundamental rule here is that you don't adopt values which are looking good on somebody else's website, because those values you have to practice day in and day out.
I agree with you.
There's another reason why values are very important, and as you will discover on your journey to the next level, either now or later, you may have a great strategy, but if you don't have a great culture, you'll find that you're not able to execute this strategy, because organization में वो उसको implement करने का culture ही नहीं है. But the question is, how is culture formed? Culture is nothing but a set of values practiced day in and day out by all the people in the company from top to bottom over a period of time becomes culture of the company.
Wow.
So over a period of time, Tata Groups develops a certain culture. a Reliance group will develop certain other culture, and so on. But this is not only for the business houses or the big companies or the corporate company, even SMEs. हमारे घरों में भी हमको कल्चर तो डिफाइन करना पड़ता है भैया, ये कर सकते हैं, ये नहीं कर सकते. These are the values we will practice, these are the values we will not practice. Whether the times are good or the times are bad, but what are your core values?
They must be
cannot
followed.
change.
They must be followed.
And these are non-negotiable. These must be followed by everyone, the chairman of the company, the founders, irrespective of good times or bad times. Only those values can become your core values. Okay, so that's the second very important component, because all future actions of the company and all future decisions of the company are also going to be governed by the set of values. On one hand, the mission, which defines the purpose of the company, and on the other hand, how are we going to do this business? The values of the company, the niti niyam.
Okay.
Now, as I told you, the values become the culture. There is one thing which I have learned, which I'd love to share here. Culture eats strategy for breakfast every single time. Culture strategy को कच्चा चबा जाता है every single time. Sorry. So if you have a great strategy, but you don't get your culture right, your strategy will not get implemented in true spirit. So you need to work on the culture, and culture cannot be left to time and default. क्यों होगा? अपने आप डेवलप होगा. You can't leave it. Culture has to be by design. And by defining the value system, when all people in the company adhere to those values over a period of time, becomes the culture of the company. There are some organizations or government departments, you don't feel like dealing with them. And you say, अरे यार क्या वहाँ का culture है यार, इन लोगों से तो कभी काम नहीं करना है. And there are organizations and companies and even government department, and you say, यार क्या काम करते हैं लोग यार, इन लोगों से काम करने का मजा आता है. What's the difference? The difference is the culture. So do you want to leave it to chance कि आपकी कंपनी में कल्चर कैसा बन जाता है? No. You want to develop it by design. So Masterclass helps you to develop that.
That's the second component.
By design. Second component. Now the third component.
Yes. Vision.
You have to develop the vision for the company. And in this case, we say vision for a few years. Because world is constantly changing. Your mission and values are the only two components in the entire strategic plan that will not change. 50 years or 100 years, these will not change. All other components, vision onwards, will change to adapt with different times, to benefit from different opportunities. So you can develop vision 2025, maybe now that we are in 2020, vision 2030. Okay. 10 years later, how your company is going to look like. How far will it go? What will be the turnover of the company? What will be the size of the company? Will there be any change in your product portfolio? Are you going to introduce any new products? How many more people you will have in your company, and so on and so forth. Okay, so you have to have a clear vision.
Okay.
But that vision has to be put on paper. It cannot remain in one man's mind. All others have to know it. Again, I have done this exercise so many times that we ask the company's founders, directors, partners, family members, managers, general managers, CEOs. We get them together and we give them a piece of paper and we ask them to write down the vision of your company, Vision 2030. Even if it is defined, write it down. And even if it is not defined, write it down. And then when we compare, it's unfortunate to say that somebody wants to take the company in this direction and somebody else wants to take the company in this direction and somebody wants to take the company in that direction. Which means the vision
No alignment.
of all the people in the company is not aligned to a single direction. And that's a must if you want to rapidly scale up your company. All people in the company are working towards the same goal, towards the same vision. That's when you will start experiencing the power and you will be able to bring out the true potential from within your company.
Okay.
So mission, values, vision. These are the three components which are part of what is known as corporate strategy. Components of corporate strategy which are going to govern your long-term future are defined. But before we start creating the plan for achieving the vision, we develop two more components, and I would call these components the brain scan test.
Okay.
One test is called DNA analysis. And the second one is a very popular tool called SWOT analysis. We call it so what analysis. Okay. So let's come to the DNA test. Just as all creatures have certain DNA, animals have certain DNA, humans have certain DNA, different humans have different DNA. और डीएनए की वजह से कोई मोटा बनता है, कोई छोटा बनता है, कोई नाटा बनता है, कोई गोरा बनता है, कोई काला बनता है. The same way, companies also have DNAs. And some companies are able to grow very fast. Some companies are able to grow very slow, no matter what. Some companies are winners by DNA and some companies are not. Some companies adapt quickly to the changing times and some companies take a lot of time to adapt. And all this is governed by the DNA, by the corporate DNA, the company DNA. This topic has not received enough attention in the subject called corporate strategy or even in the management world. So I don't think there is any component called DNA in any company's corporate plan or business plan. So this is Masterclass's contribution to the world of corporate strategy and to the world of business management, that we give a lot of importance to identifying your company's DNA and making a strategic plan which aligns with your company's DNA. If you end up making a strategic plan which looks good on paper, but it's not in your DNA to execute that, तो पेपर पे कितना ही सिंपल दिखता हो, वो प्लान एग्जीक्यूट नहीं हो पाएगा, तो रिजल्ट्स नहीं आएंगे, वो स्ट्रेटजी फेल हो जाएगा, just because it doesn't adhere to or match with the DNA. So for example, Kingfisher Airlines, when Vijay Mallya came up with this plan, big time. And when during those days, I remember in the very first or the second masterclass workshop in the year 2011, when most of if you will search Google, you will understand this. When most of the world and economic analysts and corporate world analysts and newspapers were going gaga about the acquisition of Deccan Airlines by Mr. Vijay Mallya, people were saying that it's going to be a great strategy because it will eliminate a lot of common costs. It will give Kingfisher Airlines, which was a premium airline, the number of planes required so that they can apply for flying international destinations which are more profitable. And without those numbers, it is going to take a lot of years for Kingfisher Airlines, the premium product, to be able to acquire an international license, a license to fly internationally, etc. So in many ways, people said that this alliance is going to be beneficial for the Kingfisher, for the Vijay Mallya group. At that time, Masterclass had made a statement while teaching the subject of DNA, and one of our delegates actually put it on the Facebook, so that comment is still there.
Okay.
That while teaching the subject of DNA, Mr. Ambrish Chheda said that this is likely to be very dangerous and likely to be very fatal, not only for Kingfisher Airlines, but for the entire Vijay Mallya group. Simply because if you look at Vijay Mallya's DNA and if you look at Kingfisher Airline, the premium product, it was larger than life, live life king size, do everything with style. That was the DNA of Kingfisher Airlines and Vijay Mallya. Whereas Deccan Airlines, जिसका tagline था simply fly. We will take you from point A to point B. Don't expect anything else. Just fly. Simply fly. And it was built by Captain Gopinath. If you look at his DNA, very frugal, very humble, very down to earth. So I had said that Vijay Mallya and his DNA is going to compel him to make decisions which will turn around the entire business model of a low-cost airline, and it'll get converted into a high-cost airline. So after acquiring it, the very first decision that Vijay Mallya took was changing the name of the airline. And it was changed to Kingfisher Red. All the planes had to be colored again, the tapestry had to be changed, everything. It involved a lot of expenditure. Can you imagine that? He took a decision that, by the way, I have the experience of one of the first, not the first, but one of the first flights of Deccan Airlines. So I wanted to experience it as a strategist. So I have those memories. There was not even an air hostess in that plane.
Okay.
That was the strategy. Low cost, no frills airline. But Vijay Mallya took a decision. Come on, this was a Mallya airline, Kingfisher Red. How can it not have an air hostess? How can a Mallya airline not have an air hostess? Okay. So he went against the model and made a decision to have the air hostesses. So that increased the costs, of course. Now they are Mallya's air hostesses, so they have to be good looking. So that will cost even more. And if they are good looking, they have to have a great uniform, designer uniform. So actually, designer uniforms were created for them. Again, there was a huge cost. Now such beautiful air hostesses with designer uniforms, can they stay in 3-star hotels? They cannot. They had to stay in 5-star. So again, costs. Are you able to see how DNA compels you to make decisions which may not be consistent with the business model or the strategy? Okay, that's what happened.
So DNA, when you say DNA, it's of business or the founder?
That's a great question. Usually, if you look at most of the companies, you look at the Tata Group, the DNA that exists even today after 100, 150, 200, whatever years of the Tata Group, it came from the founders. And it continues.
Okay.
Trust is one of the hallmarks of the Tata Group and the brand. Ethics is one of the hallmarks.
Okay. So the values also comes from the top management or the founder. Even DNA also comes from the founder or the top management. So can these both be changed? For example, let's say Deccan and Kingfisher. They were by two different guys with two different DNAs, two different approaches.
Absolutely.
So which So how can you know this will work or this will not work? This is good or this is bad?
So it depends on the business model. Okay. So for example, the business model is of low cost airline, then you don't need a DNA which is flashy, larger than life. It will conflict.
Okay.
And that's what happened. Vice versa is also true. If the business model requires larger than life, brand building and this and that, okay, a very frugal DNA, very conservative DNA, very risk averse DNA will not work.
May not work. Very true. Okay. Got it.
Correct? So the rest is history. I'm not going into more details. The world knows what happened with Kingfisher Airlines and
The group as well, yeah.
Kingfisher Red, which actually went into red because of all these decisions. And there was a time when Vijay Mallya took accumulated losses of 1800 crore rupees and closed down the Kingfisher Red, and whereas all the payments were pending, okay, that affected a very good airline in terms of at least the service and the standard and the class, the Kingfisher Premium Airline. And over a period of time, there came a time when to maintain the aircrafts, parts were removed from the planes which were grounded. तो millions of dollars के plane का value भी substantially devalued हो गया. So the DNA compels you to make all such kind of decisions. So Masterclass says that, sometimes I wonder how come the world of business and the world of management has not yet recognized such an important thing in a corporate strategy. How come it's not being taught? How come it's not being written much? How come not a single company that I know of has a component called DNA that needs to be cultivated? And the strategy has to be to align with the DNA rather than fight the DNA, because it's a difficult one. Now, to answer your question, is it possible to change the DNA? Answer is yes, but it's very, very tough. It's very, very challenging. It's easier said than done. So for example, घोड़े को अगर आप एक इशारा देके एक चाबुक दिखा के एडी मार के आप कहेंगे भाग, तो उसको तो आसानी से भागेगा, उसके डीएनए में है. It's in his DNA to run. He can execute that command very easily. But गधे को अगर हम कहेंगे कि भाग, चाबुक दिखाएंगे, मारेंगे, थोड़ा भागेगा, फिर रुक जाएगा. फिर आगे कैरेट दिखाएंगे, गाजर दिखाएंगे, उसको खाने के लिए थोड़ा भागेगा, फिर रुक जाएगा. It's not in his DNA to run. आप उसको कहिए 500 किलो वजन उठा के 24 घंटा चलना है, वो चलेगा आराम से. That's in his DNA. So changing the DNA
Tough, but possible.
is very, very tough. It's better to align your strategy to match with the DNA that the company has rather than the other way around.
Okay. It makes sense as well, yeah.
But if it comes to that, there are ways and means. Masterclass will teach you, will share with you how even DNA can be changed slowly but surely over a period of time, not overnight. Doable, and there are ways to do that, and we teach and share how it can be done.
Got it. Okay. So the first three we have
So
covered.
these are the first four components:
Four components.
mission, values, vision, DNA.
DNA.
The fifth component is called, it's a very popular management tool which is called SWOT analysis. SWOT, SWOT analysis. It stands for analyze your company's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. A very powerful tool. Time to time, companies must do this. It helps. What Masterclass has done is we have renamed it as SOWT analysis.
Okay. So
what
So what?
analysis. There are two reasons for that. Strength cannot be compared to weakness. There's no point in keeping it together. And opportunity cannot be compared with threats. There's no point in keeping these two together. Because strengths and weaknesses are internal to the company, and opportunities and threats are external to the company. But that cannot be the reason to group them together. Strength has to be kept with opportunities. Strength is internal, opportunities are external to the organization. So the question to be asked is, मार्केट में ये अपॉर्चुनिटी है, क्या हमारी कंपनी के अंदर स्ट्रेंथ है इसको एनकैश करने की? That's the right kind of grouping to be done. So strength and opportunities are grouped together. Similarly, weaknesses and threats are grouped together. In the external environment, there are so many risks and threats. Are there any internal weaknesses which can destroy the company? Are there any weaknesses through which these external threats will seep in and destroy the company or damage the company substantially? So, weaknesses and threats are grouped together. So, we have called it SOWT. So, what? Analysis. There is another reason why we have renamed it. So, someone says, oh, we have such and such strength in our company. And we ask, so what are you doing about it? Oh, there are such and such opportunities in the market. So what are you doing about it? So what? Someone comes and says, oh, these are the weaknesses in our company. So my question to them is, our question, so what are you doing about these weaknesses? And someone says, there are such and such threats, economy has slowed down, this, that, blah, blah. So what are you doing about it? So what are you doing about it? It's a good question to ask, always.
Very good question to ask.
These 5 components, we call these foundational components. So that's the first segment, first padav of the entire masterclass framework or methodology or the masterclass system for scaling up, helping companies scale up rapidly to the next level.
Okay.
एक पड़ाव पूरा हुआ, फाउंडेशन का पड़ाव. Then we move to the next segment in the methodology, and that's called the marketing का पड़ाव. Marketing का पड़ाव में it's important to make sure that substantial value creation happens for the customers in a way that it will take your company towards the vision, and by 2030 you can reach that vision. So the first step is discovering all the market segments that exist today and whether you can do any innovation to create a new market segment. So clear understanding of all possible market segments that exist using various different techniques of market segmentation. So market segmentation by geography, that's one technique. By demographics is another technique. By psychographics is another technique. By behavioral or need basis is another technique. Price-based segmentation is another technique. Product-based segmentation is another technique. So using various different techniques, all possible market segments available to that business are listed out first. That's called segmentation. Thereafter, applying certain filters and applying certain principles, which segments to operate in and which segments to eliminate and which segments to ignore, these strategic choices are made. And our methodology and our process helps them to make those choices. Third, once the segments that we are going to play are clearly defined, we help them define the customer pain points in each of the key segments. Because at the end of the day, customer comes to you because of some pain points. And you are not a provider of a product or a service, but you are a doctor who is solving their pain points. That's how all the businesses must look at themselves. Even if you are selling a product, people are actually not buying a product, people are buying a solution to their pain point. They want to look good. You are selling a fantastic pair of jeans. So you are not selling jeans, but you are helping them look good when they go to a party. So they are buying a solution, never a product or never a service. So once the customer pain points are clearly identified, then finding out the solution to those pain points becomes very easy.
Very easy. True.
Well, that's the DNA of a businessman. You give him a problem and he can tell you that this is the solution.
Okay.
And after that, we help the businesses zero down on what is called CVP, customer value proposition. That means defining three key reasons why the customer should buy from you, why the customer should buy your brand or your product or your service. So crystallizing those three reasons is one of the main tasks in the world of marketing. And so there is a framework again for selecting.
Yeah, got your point. Yeah.
Okay. Next is the mother decision in marketing is called brand positioning. Now, advertising agencies can charge upwards of 25 lakh rupees, can charge up to 5 crores just to help company define its tagline or brand positioning statement. Once made, it doesn't change for next 50 years. तंदुरुस्ती की रक्षा करता है लाइफ बॉय है जहां तंदुरुस्ती है वहां लाइफ बॉय 50 साल के पहले भी तंदुरुस्ती की रक्षा करता था, लाइफ बॉय 50 साल के बाद भी तंदुरुस्ती ही की रक्षा करता है. So we help them define the brand positioning. Okay, with this the marketing padav is over. Okay, and now all the strategic thoughts are over. The corporate strategy, 5 components. Marketing strategy, 5 components. Done. Okay. Now the job is to convert the strategic thoughts into an executable plan or an actionable plan. So for that, what we do is we use world's best known methodology to operationalize the strategy. This is a strategy, this is a tool which is being used by over 650 out of Fortune 1000 companies in the world.
Okay.
They use this system. Amongst the Indian top companies, let's say ET 500, index of Economic Times top 500 companies in India, more than 50% companies use this particular tool or system. I learnt about this system during my days at Future Group, and later I found that all the companies in the Aditya Birla Group were also using this particular system. You know which system I am talking about. Balanced scorecard system. The BSC.
Okay.
Now BSC consultants may charge a bomb to help develop the balanced scorecard for your company and implement the balanced scorecard system. Again, upward of 25 lakhs can run into crores of rupees. And deployment can take anywhere from 6 months to 1 year. What Masterclass has done is that, and by the way, the balanced scorecard system by itself is quite a complex system. What Masterclass has done is that we have simplified the balanced scorecard system so that even the uneducated small companies can also, founders of small companies can also use this system very effectively. Today we have about 1500 clients across various sectors and across different sizes. So our clients are from various industries and they are of various sizes. but they are able to use this system. Okay. So using this system, we first help them develop long-term goals for next 5 years. Goal setting is done. And these goals are made across 4 different perspectives as per the balanced scorecard system. So there are a few goals which we take up, which are from the financial perspective. There are a few goals which we take up which are from customer's perspective, few goals from operations perspective, and few goals from employees perspective or internal perspective or HR perspective. Rather, people's perspective, which is nothing but HR perspective.
HR perspective.
Okay? So across these 4 perspectives, about 8 to 10 goals are taken up for next 5 years. And then each goal is converted into 1 year, what we call laser sharp focus objective. So if we have 10 5-year goals, we will have 10 1-year laser sharp focus objectives. And thereafter the entire attention goes to achieving the 1-year objectives. And to achieve the 1-year objectives, an action plan is prepared. A blueprint consists of not just the strategic plan, but the action plan. So for each of the 10 1-year objectives, for each objective, the measure is defined, how the objective will be measured. The target is defined, what is the expected outcome target for this objective. The owner is defined, who in your company is responsible for this particular 1-year objective. The timelines are defined, the start date and the end date, finish date. And finally, to achieve this one objective, what are the 4 big level tasks that the company will have to undertake? Those tasks are listed out.
Okay.
And thereafter, who in your company is going to carry out these tasks? Task 1, who will carry it out?
Accountable person.
Again, start date, finish date. So the tasks are created and allocated. And every 15 days, percentage completion of the tasks has to be tracked. This in nutshell is the execution system at Masterclass. So there is the strategic part and there is the execution part. Okay. So if you see, in my humble view, there is not a single framework in the world which starts with the mission and takes you through the tasks which you must carry out tomorrow, specific tasks.
Okay.
Perhaps Masterclass methodology or the Masterclass framework is the only system in the world of management which starts with a mission and ends with
Task.
definition of listing out of specific tasks.
Okay.
It's an overall system.
Overall framework. So those are the 11 elements of the strategy part. So by the end of the workshop or the end of the coaching session with you, the business owner goes with a detailed list of tasks. So my 2 questions. Practically, theoretically it's good to know that these are the tasks that needs to be done. So I also know a business owner who did something very similar. He set a target for not for mission but only for the 4 months, like from August to December or something like that. He set up the goals, he made a plan of action. The one mistake that he made was he never reviewed it, and in the month after December 31st, like 90% of those tasks were never done. So one mistake that business owners do is they get a high in planning but make a mistake on ground executing it.
So well said. Frankly speaking, you may be in business for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, maybe 5 years, maybe 2 years, maybe a startup. And sometimes you may be wondering that ऐसा क्यों होता है कि आपके बाद आने वाले businesses या competitors आपसे बहुत आगे निकल गए, आप वहीं रह गए. मार्केट की कोई कमी नहीं है, पोटेंशियल की कोई कमी नहीं है, आप में आपकी कंपनी में नॉलेज की कमी नहीं है, प्रोडक्ट्स की कमी नहीं है, सब कुछ होते हुए ऐसे व्हाई दैट्स सम कंपनीज रियली वेंट फॉरवर्ड whereas your company could have grown to that level. Why does it happen? One answer clearly is lack of a very smart, intelligent strategy. That's the one answer. The other answer is lack of execution focus. This is the nemesis of most of the small and medium enterprises. जो execution focus चाहिए वो नहीं होता है. Finally, the results come out of what? Results come out of actions. But actions should be well thought of. That's the strategy.
Right.
So, strategy and execution are two sides of the same coin. One side is called strategy, the other side is called execution. One without the other is useless. All high thinking strategy and no execution is equal to शेख चल्ली. हर रोज प्लान बनाते हैं, ये कर लेंगे, वो कर लेंगे, ऐसा कर लेंगे, वैसा कर लेंगे, एग्जीक्यूशन जिल्च, जीरो. तो वो ख्याली पुलाव पकाना. So this is one side. The other side of the coin is execution. Great execution all the time. काम 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 5-10 काम काम 5-10 साल काम काम 10-20 साल काम 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 and no strategy behind it. It's called hard work. So on one extreme is Sheikh Challi, on the other extreme is hard working. Think of an animal which is hard working, which doesn't go anywhere. पुराने जमाने में वो ऑयल की चक्की पीसने वाले बैल होते थे. गोल गोल घूम के इतनी ही जगह में चक्की पीसते थे. 5-10-20 साल के हार्डवर्क के बाद भी कहां पहुंचते हैं वो वहीं के वहीं हैं. दैट्स हार्ड वर्क. ओके. मास्टर क्लास इज अ मेथोडोलॉजी विच हैज बोथ द स्ट्रेटजी एंड द एक्शन and the review, more important, as you rightly pointed out. The review process
has to be
the tracking process for the actions. Okay. So instead of hard work, I would appeal, use the masterclass system, the power of the masterclass system, which is nothing but smart work. So I'm not undermining hard work. Hard work जरूरी है life में. But पूरी life आप hard work किया करें. You keep on working hard all life. That's not. After some years, your car gear has to move to the top gear called smart work. तो speed मिलेगा.
Perfect. So you said you track the process in terms of percentage of completion. So what if action step changes, or what if we have to add some action steps? Will you add it in there, or
what if some action steps are missing or not carried out?
Not carried out. No, not some action steps are changed. Like we thought we should do this, but now we decided to not to do it for whatever reason. So they are changed, or we see we need to do some additional tasks.
Right.
So what will you do in that case?
Right. So you see, making of the blueprint, which is a 4-day process at masterclass, out of which you get a 4-page plan. That's the blueprint. जो आर्किटेक्ट के पास ब्लूप्रिंट होता है, जो आप कॉन्ट्रैक्टर को देते हैं तो वो बिल्डिंग बनाता है. तो सेम वे strategy and execution plan with clearly defined tasks is what you come out with. Thereafter you go start executing. Either you do it on your own or you do it under guidance of masterclass. So we have a process for that also.
Okay.
Masterclass has 2 different processes. One is called mastermind group. So mastermind group is a process for keeping you in track of the tasks, where every 15 days you come to this office on Thursday mornings at 7 o'clock in the morning, and under the guidance of 4 masterclass mentors, maximum in a batch 6 business companies, for 1 full year, every 15 days, their actions will be tracked. Okay, so आपने अगर ये प्रोग्राम साइन अप किया है तो इट्स कॉल्ड द 100 करोड़ विजनरीज मास्टरमाइंड ग्रुप. तो our 4 mentors including me will keep you on track. टिपिकली क्या होता है कि एंटरप्रेन्योर्स जो काम उनके डीएनए में है वो आसानी से कर लेते हैं. The tasks which are in their DNA, they execute it. The tasks which are they have never done before, or the tasks which are not in their DNA, those get procrastinated.
True.
So we grab them and we make sure that they implement those tasks. Also, during that process of tracking, if we find that bar every meeting after meeting, this gentleman is not able to carry out that task, or this company is not able to carry out that task, they are stuck. So then our mentors and we make a deep dive along with the entrepreneur and get to the root cause कि क्यों नहीं हो रहा है ये task. And once we reach the root cause, हम एक नहीं कम से कम 4 solutions लाते हैं कि how you can still do that task. Okay, so this is one process which you can follow, you can sign up for, and it's nothing but executive coaching कह लो इसको, या mentoring process कह लो, business coaching कह लो, business पाठशाला कह लो, but it's not just theory. We help you execute. We help you create strategy and then we help you execute. Okay. Got it. Now there is another process which is a more elaborative process. In the previous one, there are 6 companies which sit together. And it's a 3-hour meeting. In the other process, we have one more option where a masterclass mentor will come to your office or factory, etc. and carry out the strategic execution review meeting every 15 days for 3 hours, during which all the tasks which were due, the percentage completion of the tasks is tracked by our mentor. And उस वक्त, at that time, if an entrepreneur or any member of his team is finding it difficult to execute some task, we get to the root cause of that, come up with not 1 but 4 solutions. 4 different ways of doing the same thing. आपको यहाँ से दिल्ली जाना है तो एक ही रास्ता नहीं है. There are different ways. माउंट एवरेस्ट पे जाना है तो एक ही रास्ता नहीं है. There are different ways. So that's how we help them in execution. So in a way, I would say that we have positioned Masterclass not just as a strategy advisory company.
Okay.
We have positioned Masterclass as a strategic execution consulting firm. So we help you develop the strategy for the next level, because at current level of thought, आप आपकी company को next level पे नहीं ले जा सकते. You can't take your company to the next level at the current level of thought. So that's the next level of thought that we bring in. And on the other hand, we help your teams to execute the tasks. And where they are stuck, we come up with solutions whenever they are stuck in completing those tasks. So that's why we have positioned our firm as a strategic execution consulting firm.
Super.
And the results are all before you. If you go on our website, there are more than 600 testimonials. Many of our clients have grown 2x to 22x in 1 to 6 years. 1 to 6 years में अपना धंधा या तो डबल करते हैं, that's 100% growth, या 22 गुना करते हैं, that's 20 to 100% growth. On our Facebook page, website, on our website, on our Instagram, on our YouTube channels, you will see many videos of entrepreneurs who have done it and they are saying it with numbers कि उनका percentage growth कितना हुआ. There are many videos, you can watch these videos.
Super, so amazing. So what tools or software do you recommend for both strategy and processes and to track all these numbers?
There are various tools which are developed by us.
Okay.
Within the masterclass framework, which are used during the workshop and outside of the workshop when they go to execute the plan. Okay. So several tools we provide to the masterclass clients. Having said that, in addition, there are tools and technologies that they can use to make their work more productive. They may be IT related tools, whether it is an ERP system,
Okay.
whether it is sales related tools, it may be a CRM system. Okay, I wouldn't like to name any particular brands here.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, but when they come to us, once we understand the need, we recommend which tool they should go for.
Okay.
From the ERP system to the CRM system to the ISO systems and how to go about it, and we help them develop standard operating processes. So Masterclass is very, very strong in helping companies develop processes, not on paper, not just for the ISO certificate, but in reality, in letter and spirit, to implement it within the team. Now let me tell you, Indian DNA is not very SOP compliant, unlike the DNA in Japan or Germany or even in USA. People are extremely SOP compliant. जो सिस्टम है उसको फॉलो करते हैं, और यहाँ पे लोग अपना दिमाग चलाते हैं. सिस्टम है लेकिन अपना दिमाग चलाते हैं.
Very true. I have seen companies where the SOPs go into like more than 500 pages, even thousands of pages as well. So you raised an important point of Indians not being SOP compliant. So now let's assume that company do have predefined SOPs. How do you ensure those SOPs are being followed by everybody?
So frankly speaking, we help them to implement the SOPs and develop the SOP culture. It's not overnight, it's not done overnight. But during our mentoring process, there is a constant focus and pressure on the client companies and their respective teams to become SOP compliant. Okay. So how do we help them? So first is to have clearly defined systems governed by clearly defined policies. Okay. Because every department needs and every company needs structure, that is organization structure, department structure, who will report to whom, etc. Every department needs policies to follow. We help them draft guidelines, these policies. We don't do it ourselves. We guide them how to develop policies, how to make policy decisions. During our mentoring process, we even engineer the policy decisions कि ये policy decision लिखो. So structure, policies, then you need processes. Processes, so we help them how to write processes and how to get it done from your employees only. Because we cannot have outside consultants coming in and writing process for you.
It will fail for sure.
It will not work because process document तो आपका fantastic बन जाएगा, ISO certification मिल जाएगा, पर वो पेपर पे रहेगा. Letter and spirit में processes implement करना है, तो those who are going to implement it, they should be involved in writing or defining those processes. So we tell them how this can be done. Most of our clients go through this entire exercise with us.
Okay, super. So before we wrap up this amazing podcast, what is the best way a business owner can reach you or your company?
It's very easy to reach us. There are many channels through which you can reach us. You can go to our website, is the first tool. आप Google search में Masterclass Training and Consulting LLP आप search कर सकते हैं. You will reach our website. On the website you have the contact details, telephone numbers, email IDs. That's the first way to reach us. The second way to reach us is we are extremely social media connected. So we have Facebook channel, we have Instagram channel, we have YouTube channel. Again, you can search Masterclass Training and Consulting LLP Facebook, Masterclass Training and Consulting LLP YouTube. You'll get the results where you can see a lot of videos. There's a lot of free training that we have put up there. You can reach us through LinkedIn, Twitter.
Superb. So the final question that I want to ask you is, the business owners who have listened to this, all this thing is a lot of information, I'm sure they're overwhelmed with that information. What is the one action step that they can do in next 24 hours to take their business to the next step? You have to define only one action step. And of course, other than joining Masterclass.
That's a very open-ended question as such. 24 hours में next level पे पहुंचने का action step, तो पहले तो overnight कुछ नहीं हो सकता. Okay? Other than joining Masterclass, I would say that everything in this world begins with a thought. It begins with determination. It begins with a decision. It begins with निश्चय. तो इन द नेक्स्ट 24 आवर्स आपको एक निश्चय करना है कि मेरी कंपनी अभी X टर्नओवर पे है एंड इन नेक्स्ट 3 years इट शुड बी एट 2x, 3x, 4x और 5x. ये निश्चय करना है, ये डिसीजन लेना है, ये निर्णय करना है, ये ठान लेनी है. This is what you can do in the next 24 hours. Once you do that, thereafter you will certainly need a strategy for that, and you will need an execution plan for that, and there will be a lot of work that you need to do. And you need to do all this while conserving your time, money, energy and resources. Because रॉन्ग डिसीजंस लेके बहुत समय और पैसा इन्वेस्ट करके रिजल्ट्स नहीं मिले तो दैट विल बी वेस्ट ऑफ टाइम, मनी, एनर्जी एटसेट्रा. तो इट्स इंपॉर्टेंट आफ्टर मेकिंग दैट डिसीजन you need to create a strategic plan and an execution plan. I have already explained to you the method. Of course, the framework, the templates, the tools, etc. are not with you. Either you can do it by yourself. But if you want to climb Mount Everest, would you rather not do it with a Sherpa? Would you do it alone? Why do you want to do it alone when the Sherpa has been there and done that many times? So whether you come to masterclass or you go to any other Sherpa, but I suggest that you select a mentor. Let your next level scaling up process be guided by people who have experience and the methods, both. And here I would just ask you to consider this, that I've seen many people going to mentors who are actually nothing but motivational speakers. It's very easy to motivate people, to go to the stage and charge up and fire up people. But after that, if there are no great processes to help businesses execute what is planned, as you rightly said, that 90% of it never gets executed,
Very true.
or 60% doesn't get executed, then you won't get the results. So select the right mentor is what I would ask.
Superb, sir. So thank you very much for this podcast, sir. I look forward to meeting you again. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the episode. If you like the episode, please subscribe to the podcast. Thank you very much. I am Srinivas Vakati. See you in the next episode.